took me off of here. So let me.
Oh, we'll wait for it.
I may wind up logging off and coming back in. So let's.
Hey, Adam, I will tell you that it seems to me sometimes the link that you send us, for some reason there's a problem. So I just go to the Zoom app and then type in the meeting name and the password, and then it works really, really good. I think it's not your glitch, but just sometimes with whatever forum you're trying to use to get on, sometimes the link just doesn't mount up for some reason.
Okay, yeah, I get that information from IT, so I'll work with them to make sure that all those.
But keep on sending the meeting name and password. That's most helpful when you send that.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I'm back, so I don't know what.
Well, you've never left. You never left from us.
I know, it was weird. I was shutting off something that has nothing to do with the Orange County Register link, actually, and I shut that down, and then it took me off of this. So, no, but I'm back. So,
did Chief Manhart say he was going to be late?
Yes, he had a meeting in I believe in Anaheim.
Okay.
Until 11:30 or so. So he will come on as soon as he is back. Okay, since we have a quorum, it'd be nice to start this while IT helps our other member, Joe Janis, get online. So if we can, let's go ahead and start. All right, welcome everybody to the Public Safety Committee meeting. Today is September 9th, 2020. On agenda. My apologies. There we are. Okay, the first item of business on today's agenda is the call to order, which we just did. The second item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Are there any volunteers to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
You do it.
Okay.
Stand and hold your hand over your heart and repeat with me. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
The United
of the United States of America and to the republic
for which it
which
stands,
stands one nation
under
under God, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Chairman Bercuda. Okay, next item is the roll call. Chairman Bercuda?
Vice Chair Joe Janis is delayed. Here, Rick Loeffler,
Here.
Bree Walsh,
here.
and Rob Capabianco here, and Chief Manhart is delayed also. So there's a quorum. We'll go for it. Adam.
Okay.
Orders of business and any special presentations.
Yes, we have none of those today. The next item on our agenda that we do have is the review and approval of the minutes from the previous Public Safety Committee meetings. The first we will start with is the minutes, the draft minutes for the July 16th, 2020 Public Safety Committee. Does anybody have any alterations or amendments to those draft minutes that they would like to see? If not, then we would take a motion to approve those minutes with a vote of the committee.
I'd like to make a motion, Chairman Bercuda.
Good. Motion is first. We have a second.
Second.
From Gary Walsh. We need a roll call vote. Aye for me and Rick.
Aye.
And Gary.
Aye.
Okay.
Bianco, are you available to say okay? Well, you weren't here on those meetings anyway, so.
Yeah, I was only here for one of them. And I guess my other question is, a non-voting member, do I do I approve that, or is that just with you guys?
Well, I think, especially if you are quoted in this stuff as a member of the committee, I think you ought to have some say on the minutes.
Okay.
Right, Adam?
Yeah, so if there's additions that you would like to see in the agenda, by all means raise those. The committee will then vote if on the actual changes.
Okay.
Got it.
So it's 3 to 4-0 on passage. So
Actually, that would be a 3-0 to 1 vote with committee member Janice absent.
okay, the 0 is what?
Nobody voted against it.
Okay, so to answer Chief Captain Bianco's question, is he authorized to vote for the minutes?
He's not a voting member,
Okay.
so he wouldn't be voting on anything that the committee's
Okay. This is a procedure.
deliberating on.
Both
Mr. Chairman, yeah, I think, like Adam said, though, the chief needs to review the minutes, especially when he's made comments, because he can bring up any changes or alterations that he'd like to see in those minutes, and then we vote on them to make those, to accept the minutes with those changes. So he actually does have input. He's just not a final voting member.
Got it. So procedurally, we're involved in this thing, but when it gets down to voting your approval for the minutes or whatever, then it'd be just the voting members. Correct, Adam?
Yes, that is correct.
You got it. So I think we've done the approval for these minutes
Okay.
for July
So
16th.
the second set of minutes is it comes to us from the August 13, 2020 Public Safety Committee meeting. Are there any recommended changes to that or a motion?
I move that we accept the minutes.
Second that.
Moved and seconded that we approve the minutes of August 13th. Okay. Council person Rick Loeffler, maybe.
Aye.
Person Welch,
Aye.
vote, and it's 1 for me, so it's 3-0. We're good for approving the minutes for August 13th. Good. Okay.
Okay.
Down to number 6, I believe, which is oral and written communications. Anything that would be your attention, Adam?
Yes, sir. All right. We do have one oral communication today. So members of the public who wish to provide comments to the Public Safety Committee on matters that are within the jurisdiction of the City of San Clemente, but not separately listed on the agenda, may email their comments to Atamian A, that's ATAMIANA at san-clemente.org for reading during the oral communications portion of the agenda, transmittal by 12 p.m. on this Public Safety Committee meeting day is recommended. Emails will be read publicly at the meeting up to the allotted time limit of 3 minutes per person. Let me pull up. All right. We have one letter. This is dated Monday, September 7th, and it comes from Lisa Idoni, E-D-O-N-E. I would like my comments read at the next public safety meeting. I would also appreciate the courtesy of a reply to the issues I described below. As a longtime resident of San Clemente, the growth in service-resistant, homeless by choice people invading San Clemente is concerning, due to the fact that we as a city don't enforce expelling homeless that descend on our city. We have become an attractive beach destination for many homeless. This is evidenced by the number of drop-offs witnessed on an ongoing basis at the North Beach bus stop locations. There is photographic evidence citizens have gathered of certain, quote, homeless advocates, end quote, actually dropping off homeless with suitcases and other belongings at entrances to various canyon locations and at North Beach. At 7-Eleven, new homeless openly share that they were told to come to San Clemente since we are lax on enforcing anything. As this problem grows, we cannot ignore it any longer. I and many of our residents would like to see this issue addressed by our Public Safety Committee. Another issue is service-resistant homeless vagrants who repeatedly decline housing and other services. Again, several citizens can produce video documentation and social media posts by service-resistant vagrants who complain about being offered housing and various other resources and continue their beach camping, drug-using lifestyle on the library lawn or by the Ole Hansen Beach Club. They are well-known, long-time homeless residents and are very vocal that they won't accept housing. One guy even had the nerve to ask for marijuana, not housing. There is another notable recent example of a service-resistant vagrant boasting that he used his stimulus check to buy a new motorcycle, then bragged to a concerned resident that he lost the rest of the money gambling at Pala Casino. This homeless person did not use his financial windfall to get off the streets into safe housing. He chose a motorcycle and gambling. Additionally, there is a severely mentally ill, at times physically confrontational and violent homeless woman named Pamela who is spiraling downward on a daily basis. She shouts at people, tries to push and hit them at times when she's particularly manic, and is really in bad shape these days. She is very soiled and dirty, extremely thin and wasting away. Again, video and photographic evidence exists and have been shared on social media. We would also like the Public Safety Committee to provide the citizens some guidance when we encounter Pamela on a bad day. How can we help her? What resources exist? And who should we call for urgent help? She continues to deteriorate, and my fear is this will end with her death or her violent outbursts turning into violence against a citizen. We are looking for the Public Safety Committee to triage these pressing situations and provide some relief, guidance, and proposed solutions. We don't want to be the beach vacation destination for the service-resistant homeless, and we certainly don't want to see anyone, homeless or resident, hurt. We look forward to hearing your action plan, and I'm paraphrasing here. Additionally, please call me should anyone on the committee wish to speak with me. Best regards, Lisa Adoni. And I am going to provide this unabridged email to the committee members with Lisa's phone number so that you may contact her if you so desire. All right, and that is it for oral and written communications.
Mr. Chairman, can I possibly make a comment on this letter?
Please.
Now, I know Lisa Adone, and again, she's another activist that's been involved in monitoring and commenting and on the homeless situation for the last couple of years. She's spoken at city council meetings, so it doesn't surprise me that she's one of the ones that's voicing her concerns. I'd also request, Adam, that you could forward this letter to the homeless subcommittee for reading also. I don't think it's out there completely that we have a public safety and a homeless subcommittee too, so I think that would be appropriate to read there. I think it also brings up how important it is that we realize that there's a bifurcation between homeless that need resources and then the criminal activity of homeless also. So I know we're already addressing the more of the criminal part of it in our public safety committee, and I think the homeless subcommittee will certainly be tasked with addressing some of the other issues that Ms. Adone brought up. And I think our reading or the letter, I think both of our work plans in both committees, I think, address many, if not all of the issues that she brings up. So yeah, so that's kind of the crux of it. You know, we all know there's a problem, and I think she had brought up many of those, and I think this sets a high bar for us to work in both the Public Safety Committee and Homeless Subcommittee to address these issues and maybe find some strategies to address them.
Thank you.
Can you guys hear me?
My apologies. If I could say one thing, I wanted to acknowledge that committee member Janice has joined us, or I should say Vice Chair Janice has joined the meeting. And the second thing, committee member Leffler, when I received this letter, I did respond and informed Lisa about the upcoming meeting, indicating she could provide new comments for that, or I could read that letter into that record as well.
Oh, thank you, and thank you for responding. That's great. I think that's what a lot of citizens are looking for when they send these letters in or speak to the councils. They're looking for at least some response that you acknowledge. And the fact that you did that speaks volumes. That's really good. Thanks, Adam, for doing that.
You're welcome.
Joe, we can hear you, but we can't see you.
Yeah, I had some problems with my internet today, the computer. For some reason, it wasn't coming on, so I'm on phone. I can see you, though, so be careful.
I'm suspicious you may be on a golf course right now.
A little decorum here, please. Adam, any other correspondence that we have to respond to?
That is all of the oral and written communications that we have with this meeting. I can continue through the agenda if everybody's ready to move on.
Please.
We do not have any we do not have any reviews and recommendations at this time. However, there are some topics that were brought up under this item at the last meeting that we are going to discuss under new business. Is there anything that somebody would like to discuss specifically related to any future recommendations which are not already on the agenda for today? If not, I'll just move on to the next item.
With Chairman Berkuda, I did have a concern from receiving letters, and actually I think Adam received in the past a couple of letters on some issues regarding e-bikes in the city that I wanted maybe a brief discussion on.
Appropriate, because I've got question marks also on what we're doing with this thing.
Just to, I guess several citizens, including I think we got a letter that somebody wrote to Gene James, and Adam sent a copy to us regarding some concerns over the e-bikes in the city becoming, as they become more popular, and specifically the concern over juveniles riding these around the city like motorcycles and not wearing helmets. And I think we've had two, and maybe you've heard about these. Like a week ago, up by the Tlaga Golf Course, we actually had a juvenile young lady get into a fairly serious accident with a head injury, and she wasn't wearing a helmet. And then we had a recent one a couple of days ago. I don't think it was quite as serious, and I haven't found out whether she was wearing a helmet or not. And I'm sorry that Chief Banhart isn't here, because I kind of wanted to find out, because people have been asking what the enforcement policy is on enforcing the helmet law here. It's the e-bike doesn't make any difference if you're under 18, whether you're riding an e-bike, a regular bike, a skateboard, or a human-powered scooter. You're required to wear a helmet, and I've seen kids all over the city on these e-bikes, sometimes two of them sitting on them, no helmets, and I've actually seen that with OCSD cars driving right by them, and I'd like to, at some point, maybe if the chief gets here before the end of the meeting, and we could put this off. I'd just like to hear maybe what the enforcement policy is, so when we do get letters or concerns from citizens, maybe we could at least have have some kind of answer to give them, because now that we're having injuries, I think it's something that the citizens certainly want us to address, and I think we should at least get some kind of clarity on what the philosophy is.
Good. I noticed the same thing with these kids. It's more and more. At some point, you have to draw the line and say it's public safety is there. And I was going to ask regarding injuries, current injuries, because these kids are zipping all over the place. Chief, do you have any input on injuries resulting of these e-bikes or bicycle injuries?
I don't, and what I'm curious to know with our data collection, if I'm able to pull up some stats on e-bikes, which is just a normal bike. I don't know if I've got that built into the system. I can talk to some of the guys down at San Clemente and see if they're seeing an increase with those. I don't know if I have the ability to pull up specific e-bike incidents though, but I can look into that.
You know, what would be interesting is maybe having a subset on bicycle injuries is a subset e-bike, rather than, you know, have bicycle as an umbrella, but underneath, you know, segregate those e-bikes up, and you can see the difference on the number and severity of the injuries. You know, is e-bike more dangerous than a regular bike type thing? You know,
yeah, I'll talk to our data people and see if that's something that we can maybe try to pull out without too much of a reprogramming issue on our reporting piece. So let me see if there's a way of doing that.
Yeah, and I think that we're not the only city that's probably having the same problem. It's ubiquitous. It's getting more and more out there. So at some point, you're probably going to see more and more requests for that breakout.
And Chairman, something else that's interesting, what I think we've all noticed, is they're a lot of times they're riding these bikes on sidewalks. And there's no California Vehicle Code section that addresses specifically bicycles on sidewalks. It's up to each individual city to enact those ordinances. And maybe Chief Manhart would know, or maybe we can find out. I'd like to find out if the city actually has an ordinance regarding bicycles, which would cover e-bikes riding on sidewalks and trails. Because that's been another complaint, is people on their trail, the e-bikes come zipping by them. And they're always going 20 miles an hour because that's how fast they go. And so if the city doesn't have an ordinance regarding the bikes on the sidewalks, I think that's something actually we should look at and trying to be putting forward also, maybe, if it's a safety concern.
Yeah, it's a concern. Usually when these ordinances is a result of a serious injury or death, you know, we like to do the prevention rather than after the fact, type thing. So, but we need the stats to say, hey, you know, besides our empirical view of they're all over the place, what does that mean? You know, it's like, you know, skateboards used to be the thing, and very, very dangerous there too. So that's probably something we need to bring up on our next agenda if we can, as a topic.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I'd like to add about the beach trail. That's been a problem for a while with bikes and e-bikes. They're supposed to not be able to ride those bikes on the trail during summertime. And they're supposedly allowed to ride them during wintertime. And that's just regular bikes. That's not e-bikes. So that's going to have to be looked at again, the order, how we allow that. And even so, that we do as long, have not ever seen it been enforced. But with the e-bikes now, with the surfboards on them, these kids are zipping by. So that's one of the most important things I think we got to look at.
Yeah, certainly is. And I think we're handicapped right now with Chief Manhart not being with us, can help us out with it. I think we need to put that on the agenda and then have a presentation by Chief Manhart of what is the rules and what is the enforcement and where are the holes that need to be filled in. I think that would be very beneficial, not only for us, but the city as a whole.
I can tell you that on the e-bikes, there's different classes of them, and the one that you're commonly seeing is the big fat tire. Those are class 3, and those do require a helmet. Even adults are required to wear a helmet when riding one of those bikes. So if we're enforcing that, I don't know how popular that will be, given the amount of surfers that I see going to the beach. So just keep in mind.
Well, I think for the surfers, it's probably as important as a surfboard. Because if you go sliding down the pavement on your head, you want to have some sort of protection. But that's we got to find out what is the problem, and we need everybody's input on this thing. All right? So we put that as an agenda item for our next meeting?
Yes, if we could get a roll call approving that to be agendized.
Okay, Committeeman Walsh?
Aye.
Okay, and Committeeman Loeffler?
Aye.
And do we need the Chief Capobianco to vote in on? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Good.
But we need Joe Janis.
Yes, Councilor Joe Janis, are you in favor of this agenda item?
Aye.
Fantastic. We've got 4-0.
And Chairman Bercuda, if we could elaborate a little bit on this for the agenda, could staff possibly also include the information regarding what our actual city codes are on bikes on sidewalks and trails? Could we, get that clarified?
I think that'd be appropriate.
I will work with Chief Manhart to provide a comprehensive overview of the city's regulations related to e-bikes as part of his presentation. So I'll make sure that he has that information as well.
Great.
Perfect.
And maybe Chief Capobianco, you could, put your feelers out too as far as injuries and things as related, both bicycles in total and if we can have that subset of e-bikes, that would be it'd be complementary to the whole process here, finding out what the problem is and seeing if we have some direction on finding a solution if we can.
Yeah, if I have the ability to search for that, and I'll get back to you.
Super, appreciate it. Any other topics for an agenda item? Let's see, how about marine safety? Do we consider marine safety a first responder? And I think we do. And should the representative for marine safety be appropriately put on asked and put on our little committee as a non-voting member too? Would that be a good agenda item?
I think it would certainly be appropriate to offer them that situation to be made aware of and maybe we could have a member from Marine Safety come and give us a presentation, kind of like the chief did, and then at that time, offer them the opportunity if they'd like to send a representative to our meetings. I would certainly be happy to have that.
Right. Committeeman Walsh, do you have any?
I agree. I think they're a component of the public safety of San Clemente. I think they should be represented.
Yeah, I read in the paper, the local paper, they had a tremendous amount of rescues this last weekend.
At 45 over the weekend.
That keeps you busy. That'll keep you busy. And Committeeman Janis, how do you feel about it?
Yeah, I think that since we're trying to get communications going on between sheriffs, the fire, marine safety, and us, I think it's imperative I'm serving on the committee also. When we get down the road a bit and we want to start maybe enforcing more enforcement on the beach, I think the function of all of the services, including code enforcement. So I think we need to have on here.
believe so. It's they're integral. They're the first responders to the beach area, so it seems like a no-brainer, and people kind of forget about them because they're in their own little realm, and they should be part of the big picture, I think. So I think we got the unanimous agreement, Adam, that we should agendize that also.
Yes, and just for clarification, on the next meeting's agenda, we're going to, and there's some coordination here, but I'm going to assume that we will invite, I believe, Lieutenant Rod Malott, Acting Chief of Marine Safety, to come and provide an introductory presentation similar to what Chief Capobianco did last time. After which, the committee can then deliberate on whether to make a recommendation to council about the inclusion of another non-voting seat, or do you are you looking to do both a presentation and a recommendation for another seat at the same time? You want to start with the presentation?
Yeah, and I think we could end up with a recommendation. What's more appropriate is that we hear from them. It's the main thing. So, what would you suggest, Adam, as far as procedural?
And it's up to the committee can do it either way.
Okay.
If you'd like to do a presentation first, and then from that presentation determine whether another non-voting seat on the committee is warranted, that makes sense. If you're leaning towards that already, then you could simply ask for a presentation and agendize the consideration of another seat.
I'd like the motion that we do ask for a presentation and also agendize the recommendation for the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay, a second? Do I hear a second for that motion?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ruffler. All right, any discussion on that?
I just want to make clear what we're voting on. So are we going to offer them a spot? Is that right, Joe? That we're going to get a presentation and give them a position on?
That's correct. Yeah,
Okay,
that's
good.
correct. I don't need any more knowledge of what they're going to say. They're part of our safety component in the city, and they need to be on the committee.
Okay, good. Yeah, I just want to make sure I felt that was the appropriate way to go. So I wanted to clarify when I was voting. So.
Yeah, I agree with Gary and Joe. I mean, I think we know no matter what his presentation is, I think we would like to have them on the committee. And the presentation is just going to be gravy.
Right, exactly.
And so just for clarification, the committee itself is not going to be able to add another seat to the committee. The committee is going to make a decision to make a recommendation to council to have them add the seat. But
All right.
yeah, so we'll agendize both the presentation and the deliberation of adding that other seat at the next meeting.
Very good.
Put on this now? Okay, let's see, Committeeman Janice? How do you feel? A or nay?
Aye.
Okay, how about Committeeman Loeffler
Aye.
and Committeeman Walsh?
Aye.
And that's 4. Oh, good job. Not only is it something we're going to be asking the city council to consider, but it also publicizes what marine safety does. You know, with the presentation, they can do a hell of a job, and now it's out there for the public to see rather than just individual presentations that he makes at different clubs and things. So it'll be a twofer on that one. Thank you. Calling for more agenda items if necessary. Anything hot and heavy? Nope, I think we're good. We're going down to new business, I guess, Adam.
Okay, so item A is determination of next Public Safety Committee special meeting date and time. The topic of considering to request from the council that this committee be changed from a special, an ad hoc committee that meets on at special meetings to a standing committee will be discussed later. However, regardless, the next meeting that we hold will be a special meeting. So at this point, I don't really see anything else in the agenda that's going to hold up the establishment of the next meeting date. So if the committee would like, we can discuss it now. I can give you some potential dates. Keep in mind that the last item we're discussing today is the consideration of sending the work plan to the city council. That document will be submitted to the city clerk on no later than October 1st for agendizing on a later council meeting. So it's not really clear at this point exactly when the council will review and approve it. So in the interim, it seems like the committee's doing what they should and is taking on specific reviews of particular items. And so that work can begin. So it's up to the committee if they believe that this type of review would be best on a monthly, every other month, quarterly basis, until we get council's direction to start all the other projects that we've identified.
Any?
Well, yeah, I think at this point we're still putting this together, and meeting more often I think is definitely beneficial. I mean, look at this meeting, what we've done so far. We've gotten through a lot of boilerplate stuff. I think, you know, meeting it in a month, especially since we're hoping to get the marine safety here, which is part of our work plan. I think it's on a meeting-to-meeting basis when we decide to meet the next time, but I would say in a month would still be relevant.
Okay, here's a question for you, Adam, regarding that last item on today's agenda is getting us to vote on the work plans. Now, if we do that, is that something before October 1st that we have to get that approved by our committee?
Yes, the committee is going to need to make a decision to forward a finalized work plan to the city council.
Okay, and that's before October 1st.
And that's before October 1st.
Right. So we're talking about sometime this month, at the end of the month, is
Yes.
what we're looking at.
If there's concern that the committee may not finalize the work plan today, then I suggest you push this item off until the end of the meeting.
Is the work plan ready to be finalized today? I mean,
I provided a draft in the meeting invite, so if everybody's looked over that, you know, individually, you've all had the chance to review it, and if there's no major deal breakers, then the committee could look at essentially approving it in its current form to be forwarded to the council.
Well, I have looked over it. From my part of it, I'm ready to make a motion that we approve the work plan as drafted.
Okay, let's.
So then since instead of deliberating on this item right now, why don't we just save the current item, the date of the next meeting to the end, so that we're discussing the approval of this document in the correct place in the agenda. Is that okay?
Let's talk about what's an appropriate date. Do you have any good or bad dates, Adam?
Can you say time, sir?
I'm looking for, if we're going to do this, our next meeting before the end of the month, do you have any good or bad dates you have?
Oh, for this, if we need another meeting?
Yeah.
This
I'm
month?
kind of confused. Quite something. correct me if I'm wrong, we do approve the work plans today, then we don't need another meeting before October 1st.
That's correct.
Okay, well, I think we should decide if we're going to approve that work plan first, and then we'll decide if when the next meeting is going to be.
Yeah, Adam, would that be possible to change the order of the agenda here, so maybe we can do the discussion on the work plan, because that's going to really clear up when we're going to need another meeting.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, that's a great idea. So let's postpone this current item on the agenda until after the discussion about the work plan, and then decide on the next meeting date, if that works for everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So let's pull up there.
So I believe, I've read through all of it, and I see that no any of it. I think Rick and I came up with ours, and we went over, and Nick and Gary, it's going to be something we're going to massage down the road. If the council decides they don't like it, well, change it. But I don't think we can wait for time trying to get it in where it is. But
Yeah, I agree with Joe. I mean, I read over them, and I think we've hit all the topics that we thought we needed to. It's a work plan. It doesn't mean it can't be flexible as we move into it. And I for one, reading them, am really impressed with the work that Adam did, massaging them into a real document. And I think the council is going to be very happy with these. We will see. But I see nothing that needs to be addressed in these work plans.
So I appreciate all of this discussion. However, we are getting a little ahead of ourselves. There's still 3 other items under new business that I need to go over. Those should hopefully take not too long. The first item was at the last meeting, the committee had asked about the potential to hold closed sessions. And I gave an answer that indicated potentially not, but I didn't want to give a firm answer until I had more information. So I do have some of that information available now. Let's see. Okay, so essentially, all right. So essentially, closed session items are. Sorry, my apologies. I've moved my documents around. Okay. So the Brown Act allows a legislative body during a meeting to convene a closed session in order to meet privately with its advisors on specifically enumerated topics. Political sensitivity of an item is not a lawful reason for a closed session discussion, and the types of topics that are permitted for closed sessions relate to litigation, real estate negotiations, public employment, labor negotiations, other education code exceptions, certain joint powers authorities issues. There's some when criminal records of particular license applicants are present in a discussion, that may be caused. There is public security exceptions. However, that's not generally about public safety. That is about a specific public security issue that relates to the immediate public security of a public facility. There are some other multi-jurisdictional law enforcement agency carve-outs, and then hospital peer review and trade secrets. I do not see anything in any of the documents that I have found covering closed sessions that would allow this type of committee to meet in closed session. However, I believe that the concept of the closed session was not for privacy's sake, but was more for the sake of the public to not have long discussions that are being had between committee members to be part of a longer meeting, and to be able to have just a less formal version of the Public Safety Committee meeting, where it doesn't take up quite so much the public's time. And if that's the case, then I don't see any reason why we couldn't have something called a study session. These are things that the Planning Commission does. I'm not sure if any other committees do it, but it would make sense when the committee is working on trying to establish solutions and come up with recommendations, and it's more of like the brainstorming kinds of sessions. So if that's the direction that the committee would like information on, I'm more than happy to put some options together for that. It would still have to be a noticed, it would still be considered a meeting that gets noticed, but I think the idea is that it would be noticed as something other than the regular committee meeting, and so the public would be able to identify it for what it is, which is just a time for the committee to meet as a body and talk about things, versus the time where the committee meets and goes through a specific agenda to deliberate on specific items and take action.
Well, I'm the one that brought it up, and actually what you just described is more kind of what I was thinking when I talked about closed session. So for me, I mean, as we move forward, I see less need for that now that we've kind of broken up on our subcommittees, but I would certainly like you to look at that as an option for possibly in the future if it were to become more necessary. I think that would be great to have that at least in place as an option for us.
Absolutely, and that if we know that a future meeting would benefit from having that kind of breakup, then we can discuss it hopefully at the previous meeting, and carve out some time specifically to let the public know what's the study session portion of the meeting, and then what's the actual deliberative portion of the meeting, where essentially where actions taken by the committee.
Yeah, I think the study session is probably for committees and commissions and things that are in place on a routine set schedule, like the first Monday of the month or whatever they set for that. And this is an in-between type thing. Currently, right now, we're in ad hoc, so it's, whatever we call it, it's still a meeting. I think when we get ourselves established on a particular day of the month, on the week, whatever, we can actually do that. I think that would work out a little better as far as that. But we do need this study session. I think that's that hits the what we were trying to address.
Absolutely, yeah. So I will provide more information about how those work to the committee offline, so we're aware of what the options are, and then at a later meeting we can this committee can take action on whether it would like to actually establish those study sessions, either on a regular basis or as needed.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
Any more on that discussion at all from any of the members? Nope. Good.
Okay. The next item is the consideration of recommendation to change the Public Safety Committee meetings to a standing committee. And this was also brought up at the last meeting due to the way that the council created this committee. It requires that this committee meet as special meetings, which take a little bit more staff time. Each time we meet, we need to identify the next meeting date specifically, and then there's some additional noticing requirements beyond those that are required for a regular meeting. And so this is an opportunity for the committee to deliberate and discuss the potential to make a recommendation to the City Council to have this committee become a regular standing committee.
discussion on that thing?
But
Joe?
Adam, what do you? It takes a little more work on staff's part to do the special meetings, other than the standing meetings.
The additional work is so there's a notice and call that needs to be provided, and that notice and call, in addition to the agenda, needs to be provided to the committee. It requires the members to sign off on it, and then I also have to provide notice to the local news agencies about the special meeting. Whereas a regular meeting, it has a standing meeting time and date, and so all that we need to do is just post an agenda.
Okay, well, I'm all for making it easier on staff. I think you guys are overloaded as big. So for that reason alone, I would like to make it a standing meeting.
To make a motion on that.
I agree. Is that something that needs a motion for you to move that to council, Adam?
Yes, it does, and I would recommend that if the committee would like to do this, that we incorporate that recommendation into the next item that we're going to be discussing, which is the committee's mission statement document. So if the committees would like to make a recommendation to council that this committee become a standing committee, not an ad hoc committee, then a roll call vote right now would be nice, and then in the next item we can discuss how to actually make that recommendation to council.
Well, I'll make a motion that we request that the council change this meeting, the meeting of the Public Safety Committee, from a special meeting to a standing meeting.
Do we have a second?
Or standing committee, I'm sorry.
Yeah, very good. Do we have a second on that motion?
I'm not sure that the motion's correct, and I think you need to change it from an ad hoc committee to a standing committee.
But I think Committee Member Walsh is correct, so I will amend my motion to request council change our committee from an ad hoc committee to a standing committee.
A second.
Further discussion on this? Seeing none, let's vote. Committee Member Janice, how do you feel?
Aye.
Committee Member Walsh
Aye.
and Leffler?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me. That's 4-0.
Okay.
Recommend that from a ad hoc to a standing committee.
Okay, so the next item under new business is the Public Safety Committee mission statement. This, along with the committee's work plans, was discussed previously as a document that the committee would like to have council essentially approve and adopt as part of the guiding documents for this committee. A copy of that was provided by Chairman Bercuda, and it was provided with the agenda. If anybody has any comments or there's any deliberations on this document, now is the time to discuss them. Otherwise, in order to be included with the work plan, we would need a motion and a vote to do so. With the one note on this, my recommendation would be that this mission statement document would be a good place to also include the request to change the committee to a standing committee. That's a very small change that I could make once approved. So if the committee would like to adopt this document as it is with that change, you can just say that, and I will make that change.
Do you have that draft mission statement with you now?
Yes, I do.
Is there a way you could read that in? So just read it into what the proposed is for in case the public is listening or whatever. Could you do that?
Absolutely. Okay. San Clemente Public Safety Committee. Purpose. The purpose of the San Clemente Public Safety Committee is to evaluate the public safety needs of the community and relay information and recommendations to the City Council. Public safety shall include, but not be limited to, police, fire, and marine safety services. Mission statement. To enhance the quality of life in San Clemente by evaluating the safety and security needs of our community. Responsibilities. Monitor crime data and evaluate the level of effectiveness of law enforcement services provided by the Orange County Sheriff's Department. Review activities and evaluate emergency services provided by the Orange County Fire Authority. Monitor the services and needs of San Clemente's Marine Safety Division and other aspects of the city's public safety operations. Goals. To evaluate crime and citizen concerns relating to security and life safety. To determine and define public safety issues. To evaluate and set measurable goals and objectives to determine the effectiveness and efficiency of our system of public safety delivery. To develop communication links between city and contract service organizations, such as OCSD and OCFA. To evaluate programs that could supplement the efforts of law enforcement with code enforcement personnel and park rangers for the benefit of the community. To determine ways to maintain and improve retention of public safety employees.
The question I think needs to be is how would you weave into this the suggestion of a standing committee rather than ad hoc committee?
My apologies, Chairman, the audio is very low for some reason.
Well, let's see. How's that? Anything better on that one?
Yeah, slightly.
Okay. What I'm asking for is you were going to weave in the thing for the city council to change it from the ad hoc to the standing committee, and you're going to weave that into the mission statement. Is that my understanding?
Yes.
And
So
how?
essentially, essentially under purpose, it would say something to the effect of the purpose of the San Clemente Public Safety Committee, serving as a standing committee of the city, is to evaluate the public safety needs of the community. When we submit this document to the city clerk, there is, I anticipate there being a, for lack of a better word, either a memorandum or an agenda report kind of cover that just discusses what are the documents within it. And within that document, I will clearly state that there's a mission statement that the committee is asking for approval of. There is also a standalone request to make this a standing committee, and then there's also a work plan. So the council knows very well what are the things that are being requested in their review of that document.
Now we need a motion on this one, obviously, to do
Yes.
just that. So anyone want to make a motion for that? Okay, I will make a motion that we adopt the mission statement with the amendment of adding in there the standing committee, and that we present that to the city council for their approval. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Committeeman Loeffler is the second. Any other discussion?
Just real quick before we vote, I want to say I know very well what the document looked like for the mission statement when we submitted it to staff, and as I think it was good then, but Adam, you did an unbelievably great job of putting the verbiage into proper context and syntax, and I just want to say you just did a great job putting that together. I think it's a great mission statement.
Okay, well, actually, most of that work was from the committee, so.
Well, I know most of the words were in there, but I just know how much the work you did to put it into clarity and whatever. It was just very well done.
You're welcome.
We love
Okay,
it.
so with
Shall we?
that, if everybody's ready, we can move on to item 9A, under unfinished business, the consideration
Adam,
and development of the Public Safety Committee work plan.
Adam, should we vote on that?
Sorry, Chairman.
Shall we vote for the?
Good call.
Let's do it. Okay. This is on the approval of the mission statement with the additions. It's been moved and seconded. We're going to vote for it. Committeeman Loeffler,
Aye.
Committeeman Walsh,
Aye.
Committeeman Janis,
Aye.
and it's an aye for me. That's 4-0. Go to the next business here. Let's see,
Okay, so item 9A, under unfinished business, the consideration and development of the Public Safety Committee work plan. The drafts of this work plan were provided with the agenda. They have also been posted online, and I will turn over the discussion to committee.
Got it. Shall we make a motion to consider these? Would that be more proper? That we adopt the ones that are presented, and then we do the discussion.
If the committee makes a motion to adopt it, then there's no discussion necessary. But if there's any changes the committee would like to see to the draft versions, now would be the time to discuss it. I have a Word version of that document that I can type in any alterations that the committee would like to see made to that document now, and then when a motion's made, if a motion's made to adopt it with changes, then I'll help you read in that motion. Also, Lieutenant Ed Manhart has joined the meeting. Welcome, Ed.
Sorry about that, guys. Thanks.
Oh, you're not that sorry. Hey, on the last item there, Adam, we kind of discussed it already. I kind of like maybe we take a discussion straw poll and just go through everybody. I mean, for me, I'd like to adopt them. I've read them. I think they're good, and maybe have every committee member, bounce in with their feelings, and then maybe we make a motion.
Whatever the committee would like to do here, it's absolutely fine.
No problem with it. I'll start with me. Is that I think they're what I submitted came back with all sorts of nice stuff in it. So it seems like it's more understandable than when I submitted.
I agree.
Gary, do you have anything?
No, I agree with you guys. Seemed like Adam took it from crayons to calligraphy. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah, it was good. Like you said, the word massaging of everything added a lot to it, and so I'm happy with all. I've read them all, and I'm happy with them.
We drop Councilman Janis from the.
Yeah, where's Joe?
He's still down there.
I'd like to make the motion. We submit the work plans as is to the city council for their approval.
And real quick before I second, I did want to include both chiefs here. If I don't know if they had a chance to read the work plans, but if they had some kind of issue or some kind of comment, I'd like to hear from either one of them before we second and vote.
I don't have any issues, guys. I'm good with it.
Yeah, I read through it and I thought it was well done, so no issues here.
Perfect. Well, then I'm going to second Vice Chair Janis's motion.
Good. Okay. Any other discussion then? It was moved and seconded. that we approve this and move it on to the city council? Seeing none, let's go for the vote. Councilman Loeffler?
Aye.
Councilman Walsh?
Aye.
Councilman Janis?
Aye.
And it's an aye for me, 4-0. Move it on. Now we go to the scheduling for our next meeting. Is that what you want to do, Adam?
We can do that.
And now that we've got this out of the way, that might give us, and then that'll help us with item 11 at the same time, which is filling in, closing the meeting out with the proper dates and times. So anyway, we're back to the old 8A with determination of the next Public Safety Committee special meeting date and time. All right. Same question I had to you, Adam.
So the last time the committee was talking about this, there were, I believe, the consensus was asking for some dates about a month away from now.
Mm-hmm.
So let me give you some dates that are kind of the best selection at this point. So Wednesday, October 7th, the committee could meet. I would recommend that the committee meet no later than 2 p.m. on that day. There's a planning commission meeting at 6 p.m. I think 2 p.m. would give plenty of time for our IT staff to go to finish this meeting and begin that meeting. Thursday, October 15th is completely open. And Wednesday, October 21st is another planning commission meeting day. So I would recommend the committee meet no later than 2 p.m. on that day. If there are other days available, but it would typically force the meeting to be starting somewhere around 11 a.m. to noon.
Wednesdays are not particularly great for me, but see what the rest of the committee has problems in any of the Thursdays or the Wednesdays.
I'm sorry, Nick, your volume's really low. What did you say about Thursday?
Hey, Nick, I'm leaning in just because it seems like when you lean in about a foot or so, it seems better.
How's that?
Oh, that's perfect.
Oh, wonderful. Okay. Wednesdays are bad for me, but I can work around it if necessary. So that leaves Thursdays, and I don't know what that does for the other committee members.
Thursday, October 15th is fine for me.
Good for me.
Good. How about Joe? Are you good on that?
Works for me. That works for me. It's better if it's around 2 o'clock, though.
Okay.
Takes me a couple hours to get this thing worked out, you know.
So, okay.
How about the Chiefs here?
My Thursdays, I've got a standing meeting from starting at 1 o'clock, but I can work around it if that's what you guys choose to do.
Okay. Is that every week on your standing meeting?
Yeah, that's our operations teams get together every Thursday at 1 o'clock. But I can figure out a way to work around it if that's what you guys choose to do.
Okay. And how long do those last? If we
Usually from 1 to 5.
Oh.
Well, that's there at 3 o'clock.
We're definitely not going to wait until after 5.
No, that won't do it. How about Chief Manhart? Chief Manhart, are you there? Am I coming in?
Yeah, no, I'm good with that schedule, guys. I can work around it. I don't have anything pressing on those days, so
All right.
I'm good.
Well, it looks like, I could do Wednesdays if that's clear for everybody. I don't want to get in Chief Capobianco's organizational thing, because that's important, especially during fire season. You know? So, we're looking at the 7th or the 21st. Either one of those better or worse for anyone.
If that good, I can make, like I said, we meet every Thursday, so.
Councilman Janice, I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Either the 7th or the 21st works fine for me.
Good. Okay, great. Now, so on the 7th, we've got to do a late morning type of thing. And the 21st is open, I guess, as far as any time.
No, the 21st is, we need to,
Oh, it's the same one.
I'd recommend no later than 2 p.m. start time.
Okay.
Well, hey, Nick, I think he said Wednesday, October the 7th, 2 p.m. was good.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be the same thing on the 21st.
And the 7th, they've got this meeting at 2 o'clock, so it's like a late morning meeting would be what you're focusing in on, especially if we're going for no more than 3 hours. They got to have a break in between.
Yeah, my understanding is we could start at 2 o'clock on the 7th.
Yes.
What time does the other meeting start?
6 p.m.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's let's see.
We could start this meeting at 3 or 4, but then it would have to end by about 5 o'clock.
I mean, we could start at 3. I don't anticipate, unless Marine Safety shows up and they want to do a long dissertation, and I doubt that. I think if we started at 2 or 3, I think we're going to be done in 2 hours.
Yeah. And I'm still, I'm reaching out to Lieutenant Malat in Marine Safety to see what his availability would be for those meeting dates. He does not work Monday through Friday, so I'm offhand, I'm not sure which days are best for him. But as soon as possible, we'll get him lined up. If I don't hear from him, I suggest we just pick a day.
Well, like I said, October 7th is fine. We just need to decide where we're going to start at 2. What's better for everybody to start at either 2 or 3? And I'm good either way.
Well, for me, because of the uneasiness on Wednesdays, 3 o'clock would be better, I think, for me.
Okay.
All right. We can do that. So are we have an agreement on 3 o'clock on Wednesday, October 7th?
Is that okay for you, Joe?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Well, then I move that we schedule our next meeting for October 7th at 3 p.m.
Is there a second on that?
I think Joe just seconded it.
Okay, got it.
Second.
Any further discussion? I see none. Let's go ahead and vote. Let's see. Committeeman Walsh
Aye.
and Committeeman Loeffler
Aye.
and Committeeman Dennis.
Aye.
Good, and that's 4-0 for Wednesday the 7th at 3 p.m. Or in Cop Talk, 1500 hours. Good. Well, got that one taken care of. Good. Okay. Now we got, looks like reports from the committee members and staff, right, Adam?
That is correct, sir.
Okay. So if we could get a kind of a briefing from Lieutenant Manhart, I'd sure appreciate it for the,
He's ready.
Available, Chief Manhart.
I do not have anything, guys. I'm good.
Okay. Any hot crimes at all, or anything that's bothering?
We got crimes, but nothing that I want to talk about right now.
Okay. All right. One of the things that we discussed prior to you coming on is the e-bikes, and Adam will give you a kind of a little briefing on that. We want to know just where, what the laws are on bicycles on the streets, sidewalks, whatever, and then a subset of that would be the e-bikes type thing, because we're seeing a proliferation of a lot of these, not only in San Clemente but just everywhere. And the way these, it looks like youngsters are zipping around. Some of these, we're going to have some injuries, if not fatalities, if we don't address this. So maybe next time we can get a good, we get a little understanding of where we are on that. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, fire services, Chief Capobianco.
Sure, a little update with what's going on now. As I know you're aware, we have a number of wildland fires that are burning throughout the state and some of our neighboring counties to Orange County. As part of our mutual aid system, OCFA has sent both strike teams as well as individual resources to assist the many fires, from the Valley Fire down in San Diego, El Dorado, the Bobcat Fire up in the LA area. To go a step back, as a strike team, when I talk about that, that's the way we send out fire engines. So it's 5 fire engines, a battalion chief with common communications. We have our hand crew is out. They're up in northern. One of our 2 hand crews is in Northern California. One of our 3 bulldozers is in is also up in the north part of the state. Our firefighters are dealing with some extreme heat, especially up north, dry conditions, extremely windy, as they're battling blazes. Over 2 million acres across the state have burned. I know some of the national parks are closing to the public, both in southern and central California. So the situation is not necessarily improving. And up north, I think they're still experiencing some 60-mile-an-hour winds. At the same time, we understand that our dirt comes first. We're prepared down here. We know we were expecting a possible wind event. It looks like we may be getting lucky, and the wind did not hit the coast, which is good news for us. However, that being said, we do send resources out. We think of our upstaffing here. As an example, we've upstaffed our second helicopter 24 hours. Our hand crew is staffed 24 hours. Normally they go home in the evening or are on call. The bulldozer that we have here in county is staffed up 24 hours. That normally goes home at night. And we've also staffed up 5 additional of our brush engines. The way we do that, as an example, in San Clemente, we have an additional engine in the city of San Clemente for the past 4 days. So we've taken Station 50. We have a brush engine that's out of there. We call it Engine 350, but the Type 3 engine is the way we refer to it. And we've staffed that with 4 additional people. So you have 2 fire engines for the last 4 days working out of that fire station. The other 4 are spread out throughout Orange County, kind of across our open country, from San Diego Canyon to up north. There's one in Irvine. But we have had one stationed at Station 50 for 4 days. So I guess the big thing to explain, we take when the National Weather Service declares a red flag warning, we take that very seriously. We know that sometimes they don't quite hit the coast, but we're ready for it when it does. Our red flag warning, although it's not in San Clemente, inland Orange County had a red flag warning. It's set to expire at 8 o'clock tonight. So luckily being said, this round of Santa Ana wind has not evolved for us down here on the coast, but as we move forward with future events, that's just kind of a little insight as far as how we have to what's going on and prepare for something in our own, it's a balancing act of how do we support mutual aid and support our neighbors versus still be ready here at home. So that's a little bit how we work that. And that's all I have for you tonight.
Great, thank you very much. Okay, looks like the chairman comments here. We've done a lot of work, and I really, as I want to bounce Damon Loeffler's comments regarding the staff doing an excellent job on supplementing our work plans and making them noteworthy to the council. I think that we've got a good place to start, and that doesn't have us stop and wait for them to approve this thing so we can get going on doing all this stuff as we go, because this is an ongoing process, and we can still do our homework on it, due diligence, as it were. I'll open up to committee members. Vice Chairman Janice, do you have anything?
No, I don't.
Okay, Damon Loeffler?
Yeah, I'd just like to thank the staff, and I want to thank my fellow committee members for doing some really great work on this work plan. I know getting together with you guys individually and doing the work, I'm really impressed with what we came up with. And the other side of it, I want to thank both of our chiefs for being proactive in this committee. It'll be great if we can get marine safety on board too. And I just want to say, as we go forward on these meetings and we're talking about nuts and bolts, I hope both chiefs don't hesitate to chime in with any comments you have to make or suggestions, because I know you're ad hoc members, but I just consider you fellow committee members, and I don't want to wait and have to ask you something. If you know something that's going to help us out, I'd really appreciate you jump right in and let us know, because I think that's going to facilitate us moving forward much, much better. So we're just one big team here, and I think the more input we get, the more successful we're going to be. And that's all I got.
Good job. Committeeman Walsh.
Yeah, I agree with what Rick was saying there. The staff has been very good to us and helped us along. And I'm also chairing the co-committee, the homeless committee, and it's I just want to report from that we're basically doing the same thing that this committee is doing, where we've divided up into certain subjects and everybody's starting to look into that. We are looking over all the homeless information. Lieutenant Martin Hart, I need to talk to you, but I'll talk to you. I'll call you later to get some stats and stuff that we need to start working with. It does seem just everybody I talk to seems to think homeless seems to be our number one issue that this city's confronted with, and I think it's a difficult issue, homelessness, because it's like the old parable where the blind guys touch the elephant. Each one has a different idea of what it looks like, and that's kind of what it is with homeless. You have a lot of different people with a lot of different positions. So I can say that it will. I think in the end, it will be one of the most valuable things that we come up with is this homeless challenge.
Yeah, I think we have a couple of good people on that subcommittee. Thank you, guys.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, city staff.
The only thing I have to report is for the next meeting, I will start providing some of the data that the committee will be working on as part of the most regular aspect of the committee's charge, which is to review performance measures and make recommendations. This has not been on the agenda thus far because the committee hadn't even established its own work plan related to it. While the rest of the work plan is going to go to the council for approval, the one thing that the council has already given the committee charge to do is to review performance measures. Some of this data I've been collecting from various aspects of public services, public safety services. I will continue to get this information, and on the next meeting, I will provide you with kind of a snapshot of that information. And so I'm anticipating that there'll be a kind of a twofold review. One is, what is the actual data? You know, what are we looking at when we look at the data? But then the other thing to keep in mind is, what data does the committee really need? What does it want? What's the time frame of that data? So the next meeting, I think this will be a good opportunity for us to, for the committee to really come to grips with what are the performance measures that it wants to start looking at. And I know that the committee will be working on establishing benchmarks and things like that, as part of the statistical analysis project, the ongoing project. But just to familiarize the committee members, I'm going to start providing some of that data from our agencies, so they'll have that to look at. And that is all I have.
Hey, this is Rob. I have a quick question, speaking of the data. Last meeting, I was requested to provide some data. I did complete some of the work that was requested of me with our call stats. I forwarded that off to you. Is that the right process to get that information to the committee members, or what's the best way to do that?
Yes, that is the correct way. That information I have not provided yet because I don't have similar information from the other public safety services yet, and I want to present everything together so that we're not cherry picking from individual organizations.
Okay, I understand.
So we're waiting for the next meeting. We'll probably have some stats to look over.
Because that next meeting will have that information agendized, the statistics will be provided ahead of time, and I'm going to try to start getting the agenda published with the agenda items about a week ahead of time. So that will give the committee plenty of time to start reviewing new information that's presented to them. So I'm hoping that by what would be September 30th, I'll have, let's say, the previous 2 months worth of performance measures from OCSD, OCFA, and Marine Safety.
Yeah, well, at least we'll have the quantitative work that so we can start trying to make sense out of some of this stuff. That will be interesting to see. At least we'll have something in our hand to look at. Okay. So I'm going to make a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn this meeting of the Public Safety Committee until the next scheduled meeting, which is October 7th, 2020 at 3 p.m.
And
Second.
And second is, we have a second from Walsh?
Yes.
Oh, hot dog. Okay. Then on the roll call, obviously, Councilman Janus?
Aye.
Councilman Walsh?
Aye.
Councilman Lafleur?
Aye.
And myself, that's 4-0. Thank you very much. We're adjourned. Anything else that we need there, Adam? Wrap it up? Good.
Thanks everybody for all your input.
Hey, let's do this again.
Have a great week, guys.
Thank you. All
It is
right.
on the 7th.
All right. All right, guys.